the Tasty Freeze, located in Montezuma, Indiana. We offer over 32 soft-serve flavors of creamy, delicious ice cream, hand-breaded pork tenderloin, famous homemade pony sauce, and don't forget our roasted chicken.
Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again.
Open Tuesday through Sunday, 10:30 to 9:30. To place an order, call 765-245-2887. We appreciate your business.
All right, let's get going here. Everybody have minutes to look at and approve.
Thank you, Celia, for getting these out in advance.
Does anybody have any additions or corrections to them?
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then the treasurer's report.
Okay, it's kind of lengthy, and so I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible because we have 3 months. First of all, if you will look in your January packet, I have the 3 reports that we'll use at the annual meeting. And the first one is the innkeeper's tax receipts. And this is the total for the 10-year period. And last year, we actually received $257,897.73. And so that was a record year. We did make a payment to the auditor for the percentage that was to be paid to the county in the amount of $8,648.50. That's 3% paid to the auditor.
Let me explain that real quickly to the guests so to make sure they know. Our Senator Derry was able to get an increase to the innkeeper's tax from 5% to 8%. That's the money that guests pay when they book a room someplace in Parke County. Part of that deal to get that raise from 5% to 8% was to help offset some of the costs for first responders, the volunteer fire departments. So we had to come up with an agreement of how much of that increase was going to be going to safety and how much was going to stay with the CVC. So the agreement we came to ended up with the split was going to be satisfied by all of the funds would come to the CVC, and then the CVC at the end of the year then would pay 25% of what our gross receipts are from the county to the county to cover our share of that increase. Still resulted in a substantial increase for the Visitors and Convention Bureau, but also we don't really know how much money yet because this wasn't instituted till the middle of the year. So at the end of next year, we'll have a real number to know actually how much we increased and how much better off we are and how much was available for the fire departments. Okay.
Okay, all right. The next page that you'll need to look at would be the total for 2023. And go ahead.
Is that the amount paid to the county on PO?
Let me see here. No, because the check wasn't written until after the first of the year.
Gotcha.
So it'll be on the next one.
Okay.
The next page you'll see is the total amount of expenditures. This is expenditures for the year 2023. And you can see the total for 2023 was $240,808.66. And it's itemized month by month on the first sheet when it was expended, and then this sheet is shows a graph of largest to smallest, so you can see what the biggest number of expenditure, the largest expenditure was. And then this is the budget, and this is showing what our budget was for the year. Last year is $165,000. That was our budget for last year. And you can see we are in the red in some of our departments there, publication. but that doesn't mean we didn't have any money, we just spent it out of a different fund. Okay, in an effort to save time, I think what I'll do is just ask if everyone would approve the January, February, and March
Sure.
invoices.
Sure.
We've already paid January, February, but, and in order to make it right with the State Board of Accounts, so it's
Okay.
in the minutes, I think we need to
Okay.
go ahead and approve those.
And you
So-
sent this is what you sent us copies in our email, same
I
ones.
tried.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you for
Make a
that.
motion, I'll make a motion to do that.
Okay, I appreciate
Been
that.
moved to approve the January, February, and March invoices as was sent to us.
Okay,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I thank you for that. Let's see it. And I was thinking about Doug's question. In January, we paid the $86.48.50 to the auditor. So if you'll see,
Yes, I see that now.
yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
on there. You're welcome.
So that check was not sent out in December then?
No.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? It's been a long time since we
Right.
met, so,
Motion to approve the January claims as presented.
okay. All right, then if you look at the February, do you have any questions?
You made a motion?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And what was that motion?
To approve the January.
Okay, is there a second?
We've all seen this multiple times, so.
Second. All right, then move second to approve January report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to keep it all straight here. I also wanted to report that the supplemental AFR, the Form 1, was filed with the auditor, and that was approved by the commission, I believe, wasn't it? Approved by the commissioners and the council.
To approve what?
The Form 1, the annual financial report
I don't
for
remember that.
2023.
I don't remember that coming up.
Okay,
Is that something we approved?
I don't know. I thought it would
I thought the
be.
auditor just, I just thought the auditor took care of
Maybe
that.
she just
Yeah.
takes care of it and files it with the State
Yes.
Board of Accounts then.
I'm sure the state has to approve it.
Okay, it's been filed and turned in, and I thought I had included it in your report. So if you look through your packages of papers, it's probably in there, because I tried to approve tried to get all the paperwork ready month by month, even though we were not meeting. So it should be in there. Okay, in February, you can see that our total invoices was $25,358.89. And the total bank account balance was $133,217.64. And then the postage fund account was $5,823.83. I went ahead and deposited $5,000 in the postage account, which is the total budget for the year, so we wouldn't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. So it's in there, and you've got money.
Okay.
You guys have copies of these things we're talking about?
There's some right here if they need
Here.
one.
Just one's fine, one's fine.
So what I wanted to make sure you knew was that the first three reports that I gave you, that's the ones we'll use for the annual meeting for the innkeepers. So don't lose those, so we'll have those. Okay, March.
Motion to
Okay,
approve February is presented.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Moving second to approve February's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, that brings us to March. Do you have any questions so far? All right, in March, we have an invoice for Courtney Cook, $15.75, Partnership Parke County, for the use of the commercial building during the Parke County Fair, $1,000. Parke County Incorporated, 3 months operation fee, $6,000. And there have been 2 Visa bills paid for Facebook ads, one for February and one for March, $571.29 and $502.60, and I have to pay those in advance because they're due before we meet. Doug Weishaupt for reimbursement for travel brochure delivery, $56.20, and I have a question about Otter Creek Technical Services. They had sent an email to NISA stating that we owed them some money. And 2024, we owed them $640, 2022, 120, 2021, 120, and 2020, 120.
What is it for?
Web domain and email.
Oh, okay.
And I looked it up, and I looked in all the ledgers from 2014 clear through the present, and I could only find one check that was sent to them for $90 on May 23rd, 2017, in the amount of $90 for domain name renewals and DNS service. And it was to Clay County Internet Service. And they changed their name
That's
to
what I recognize that,
Otter
okay.
Creek Technical. So, if
What used to be Clay County what?
Clay County Internet Service.
Yeah. So it's the same thing, and you can see that we haven't paid those bills, so we do owe that money.
But I don't know where they went. That's the thing. I didn't receive them, so I don't know where they,
And that's the first communication I had seen about anything like that.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's why I'm.
Do we have an invoice
Still
from
that long
them?
We
without
have
shutting
4
us down.
invoices for all 4 years.
Okay, my recommendation would be that we go ahead and pay that, but then
Okay.
ascertain with them where they need to be coming. So
Okay.
when you send them a check, you might say, we've never seen these, you need to use this address and get it to
I mean,
you.
Okay.
Okay,
I would think
I'd make a motion
Courtney
and then
would
we
have
approve the 1,000, oh, I wasn't do it all one time, never mind, no reason to do it individually, go
Okay.
ahead.
Do we, do we know? I guess my question is, that's a long time. Typically,
I know.
I would think we would have been shut down. So do they really own it?
Lisa would know that that's the service we use to do that stuff.
No, I don't. That would have been before I was
Well-
in, and nobody's ever had a conversation with me about where that comes from.
But is that a relationship that you have with them, PCI has with them, or we have with them? Because we've
Yeah.
never signed a contract with them that I'm aware of.
I'm not aware of anything that we've done for that.
I
Well-
believe this went back to Kathy Harkrider times.
Ah,
At
okay.
And I
least.
remember it was confusing even years ago.
Okay.
And I think maybe that was the last time a bill was paid.
So, we haven't lost internet, they haven't shut us down, we still have our domain, you still have your domain, I mean, you
Yeah,
still have
yeah.
that. So I suggest we pay it, but then
Okay.
we need to get something in writing as to what the services are gonna be and what's gonna cost every
Yeah.
year. So let's pay it, keep good neighbors here, but let's get
Right.
something in writing so we can get that
Is that
done.
something you want us to do, or do you want Diana to make that contact?
Good
Or
question.
Courtney?
It's a website question, you know,
Right.
who's in charge of the website? It's your
We'll get to
website that
that
we
later.
pay for, so how does that
There-
work?
We had this conversation last year,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty certain, because Courtney was in on this.
Last
Yeah.
year we talked about, because we changed where our email was hosted, because
Right.
we were having so many issues with
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
I know we had that discussion and moved that over, and
Yeah.
the fees, I believe, were paid for that at
Right.
the time, so.
Why don't we do this, pay it, approve it. You include a note saying that we need to have contract for this with
Okay.
what services are provided and to whom.
I-
Question is to whom? Does that contract go with us that we're going to pay? Does the contract need to be with
PCI,
PCI?
okay.
Have the invoice come.
Let's talk with Courtney between now and the next month or two
It
and
was
figure out how we
emailed,
should best
see.
set that up,
And
what
It
meets her
was
need.
emailed to
And then
Lisa,
maybe have
Parke County Incorporated.
have some, when we get that contract, and then maybe go back and look at last year what we paid and who we paid it to for what services, and then have something so that if we get something else from someone
It
else.
sounds like we didn't get anything from anybody ever. She only found that one back in 21, was or something like that? 17 for $90.
Right. Well, I mean, last year she said there was a discussion last year about
For
the
the
email
email.
address.
Yeah.
Like just so that we
I
have
agree.
the lanes of
We
who-
just need to get
what
it.
are we? Yeah. So
Get
that
a codified
The
contract.
the invoice for this year includes 6 domain names: visitparkcounty.com, parkcounty.com, coveredbridgetours.com, parkcountyindiana.com, coveredbridgecapital.com, and coveredbridges.com.
And those are the ones that we approved last year with Courtney's recommendation, just those.
And
not-
I guess the way to do this then is whose name is the domain in? Is it in PCI or is it in
Well,
us?
I thought it was PCI.
And if that's the case, contracts probably should be with them, and then we would just be part of our costs that we reimburse you for. So let's talk with Courtney and figure that out, how we need to get that set up as clean as we can, because we're not, like now with Celia, we remember the conversation, but that's not gonna work.
Right,
We're not all
yeah.
gonna be here every year, so we need to get that codified, and so
Okay, so do you want me to
I would
wait
include
till I
that.
get with Nisa?
I think we need to pay
Just
what we
pay
owe
it.
and then go
Okay.
forward from there. Is everybody okay?
Okay.
It's not like we're talking big bucks here, it's $100 a year or so, so.
Okay, all right, we'll take care of it.
yeah.
Okay, and then you can see what the deposits have been so far this year, and remember, we're always in arrears. And Doug had emailed me something that had come from the state, and
Yes.
I could not find that email again.
The states on the state put out through the Indiana Destination Development Corporation the amount that each county had collected as according to the Indiana Treasurer's Office, and that number, and I emailed that out to all of you, is just the one page of the whole report that came to me. It was on orange paper, and that number was larger than what we showed on our numbers here. And so it was just to let everyone know that out of the 60-some places that collected taxes, we were about 41st or 42nd throughout the state. That's what I went through when I got the report, trying to figure out where we were at and who was ahead of us and behind us and those things.
And the total was more with the state than it was
with us that had
here.
come through this. What the state's reporting is where they're collecting it from our county treasurer and or auditor as part of the state board of accounts, and what was flowing through there, and that was different than what we were showing here. And that also became part of the discussion because Courtney's been working with the strategic person and visit in Terre Haute, and she's coming to our annual meeting. And Courtney was stunned to find out that the CVB budget in Vigo County was $3.4 million. So I tried to explain to Courtney, she didn't honestly believe me that their budget was in the millions, let alone not the hundreds of thousands like ours is.
Well, look at all the lodging they have.
Right.
Right.
Because it's innkeeper's tax, right?
That is correct.
Right.
Yes, but Courtney knew they were bigger than us, but not 3.4 million compared to a couple hundred thousand.
My thought in what Doug had said about the total being more, the state showing more,
Right.
is because they're always about 3 months behind in sending what is collected from B&Bs and Airbnb and Verbos and all those. They're always about 3 months behind, so maybe that was why they showed more than...
Because it's not been sent to us yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what they showed at the state level in December, not what we
Right.
show in our account. Just
Right.
We're typically
FYI.
3 months behind that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know of anything else, Jim.
Okay, just one more thing on that increase in innkeepers, just to get the numbers right so they understand why we give 25% of our income to the county. Originally, it was 100% of the innkeeper's tax money came to CVC. That was 5 parts. They increased it from 5% to 8%. That's another 3 parts. So now we have 8 parts. Before we were getting 5/8 of the money. Now we have 3/8 of the money is brand new. We decided to split that with the county for the first responders, 1/3 and 2/3. So we get 1/3 of the new money. They get 2/3 of the new money. That means now of the 8s, we had the 5/8 that we got before, 1/8 of the new money, a third of which is 1/8 of the total amount, so that's 6/8. So we get 3/4, they get 25%. That's how that math comes up. We spend a night work on that.
And I just want to say thank you, and I also want to ask that going forward, that I don't do that by myself, please.
You did fine.
I want to do it by myself.
Now it will be easy, because now they know we're going to pay in January, and we'll go with whatever numbers we have at the end of December. Even though it's 3 months behind, it doesn't matter, because we're 3 months ahead going into this year.
Okay.
So we will use the last payment we get at the last of December,
Yes.
and whatever we have received in innkeeper's tax, we'll pay 25% of that to the county. We'll keep the 75% for us.
Okay.
Right. And I had sent an email also to Diane. I would like, as if we could, to make a line on this statement to remind all of us how much that 25% is each month, starting in December, and we add January, February, and Marches. So when we look at that line there, that we can look at the bottom line, which is our Fountain Trust account balance. Remember, we could take the Fountain Trust account balance minus that number there, and that's really the monies that we have.
Okay.
Recognizing the council would like to see us have $60,000 at the end of the year, which we clearly have been doing that.
Yeah.
So that we've had, respectfully, I've had some phone calls, and the marketing committee met here, and we want to make sure that we're not doing what we did maybe 4 or 5 years ago when we didn't spend money in the calendar year, we got more, and then we've spent that down a little bit over the last couple of years and done special projects.
And keep in mind, we still have some outstanding debt that has not been sent in yet.
Correct.
The bridge down by Roseville hasn't been cited yet. Once it is, we will
Right.
pay half of that with the county
Yes.
highway department, so that'll be coming out yet. So just be aware that we do spend typically in that $10,000 to $15,000 per year, helping our assets that bring tourism here. That's how we can
Right.
justify that. Okay.
And if you review this, looking forward, this is this month for this year. Look how our revenue has increased from even last year. Just look at what was actually received. The top portion of this spreadsheet is what's actually received into the treasurer from the innkeepers. The bottom portion is what's deposited by the auditor into the CVC's account.
Yeah, I
So
think-
you see, look at last year, 2023 in January.
Yeah.
And
And that's only
this
with the
year.
increases in the last 6
Right.
months. I really think we're gonna be looking at 400,000 here in the next couple of years if the prices for in rooms go up and we continue to get our, I think we'll have a budget of 400,000 eventually.
Bring
so.
it on.
And if you look at that, yes, if
Right.
you look at that, every dime is spent on advertising. None of us make a dime off of anything ever, so every dime is spent on advertising, that's what we do.
This is volunteer.
Okay,
Okay.
is that it, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
No.
sir. I think it is. I'm hoping it is.
You did okay.
Well,
I'll
thanks.
make a motion to approve the March report.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good job, Diane.
Thanks. Woo-wee. I was thinking, oh man, they trust me a lot.
Okay. Well, I don't know why Thrive is not here with our traffic count numbers, but before we go to marketing,
We
what-
need to have election of officers.
okay, and before we go on to marketing, we've got two things to deal with. One is election office, because this is our time to do that. But before we even do that, let's give Angie a chance here. We had talked, she had questions about what she needed to do, what they needed to do, what permissions they had to get to be able to use Parke County Covered Bridge Festival in their advertising. But really, that's a question for PCI. So you really need to work that out, because it's really PCI's patent on that. So whatever qualifications you need to have, it's just whatever advertising you use with our logo and stuff on that, we'll have to have some agreement on how we go about doing that. So
We
it's really,
did try to go to PCI and work that out with them, and we didn't get any help from them, so that's why we're here.
okay.
Well, what Todd was told is that anything that's referencing the festival, you're posting about it. If you're stating the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, we don't grant that permission. We expect that our locations are using that as a whole, was the conversation that we had with them.
I think the conversation's always been, as long as it's the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival at Mansfield or at Montezuma
Yes.
or at Rosedale, those kind of things are okay. The issues we had in the past was that it was the Covered Bridge Festival, Mansfield Covered Bridge Festival and that kind of thing. That's just not acceptable. So I think we've
We were
gone down
based
that.
on the post that we saw on Facebook about the permissions, and it stated that you had to have a written request.
That's
Yeah.
for merchandising.
Okay, well, Todd's not gonna go spend thousands of dollars to have signs made that say the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, and then this come up and be an issue.
We didn't.
That's what,
We didn't expect him to do that. That's the promotion of the event as a whole. What we are talking about in that is with trademark for sweatshirts, t-shirts, merchandise.
well, it's
Souvenir
worded
items
where
that
it
create a
says
profit.
unauthorized use, especially for profit, is in parentheses, or in commas.
Right.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean just for profit. To me, that, and us, that meant any use.
Okay, well, that's really a discussion you guys need to have at your board meeting instead of this in a place. But as always, you're welcome to every meeting we have anyway, so we're not gonna have anything to say about that issue, but that's between you and them to get that worked out.
I mean, as long
Our
as.
question will only be if
you
you're
know,
going to
if-
use our logo on something, you'd have to have our, that's just something we just don't do, but it doesn't mean we couldn't
Well,
do that.
this says the wording,
Okay.
and Todd's, to go spend a lot of money to get
Well, I
signs
think
made that said
that's what I
Parke
mean.
County Covered Bridge Festival, and then have someone be upset about it because we didn't get permission to use
Yeah,
it.
that's why you need to meet with them and get that codified, how to do that.
And I'll add also, you were asking PCI to fund some of that advertising. And that's when we said the funding of advertising for the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival comes from the CVC, not PCI.
Yeah, just the fun.
So if you're looking for funds to do stuff like that,
Okay, well, he's not looking for funds.
well, that's when you guys came to us,
Originally,
that's
that
what it
was
was.
his conversation. I
Okay.
don't think you were able to.
You guys take care of that at
Yeah,
another
that's
meeting.
fine.
I'm just saying, we just need to move on that stuff. Oh, you have
And
to-
the-
Are you going to leave or are you going to stay for the
The
rest of
other
meeting?
issue was getting put on their vendor contact list.
Okay.
I mean,
That would be with them as well. Yeah.
Okay, and we've been trying to get it done since last summer.
I don't have an answer for that. You just need to work that with
Okay.
them. That's not what we do. We don't direct them how to do what they do, and they don't direct us how to do what we do. We have things that we do together, and that's where we are. Ours is simply our marketing for the Covered Bridge Festival and other festival in the county. That's all we do. As far as the copyright stuff, that's with them. We have to work that out. Okay.
Are you staying?
Oh,
Are you staying for the rest of the meeting?
I'm not planning on it.
Okay, just to let you know, as the marketing chairman for the CVC, historically, we have marketed Mansfield as the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival - Mansfield. All right. Last year, it was requested for the Beans and Cornbread Festival specifically that the request for it was Mansfield Village, the Cornbread and Bean Festival. So we marketed that at the request of Mansfield Village to market that specific event as Mansfield Village, not Mansfield. Okay? So if Todd would like any input in that, they need to let us know as a group so we know how to properly market that event that is in Mansfield, but they had requested that event be called Mansfield Village Cornbread and Bean Festival.
every festival that we do, whether it be a Rosedale,
Right.
whatever it is, they all do their own stuff, and we can
Yeah,
just assist
exactly.
with that.
Right.
So,
I just want to point out that PCI does not go after people that market Parke County Covered Bridge Festival
Right.
in good faith. I've never went to them and asked permission to put Parke County Covered Bridge on any part without reverse material, because it's all made in good faith in the spirit of moving county forward together. And I think they share that sentiment with me. And they've never, they've never said to me.
we all do this while we're here. We just gotta be careful. They just need to be careful with
I
that.
just want you guys to know that will
Yeah,
never be their goal to go after you. because
Right, and
you did it.
I've done it for
No, they're
years.
not gonna let you sell T-shirts that say
Right.
Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, because that is their trademark.
Right.
They're not gonna let me sell T-shirts that say Parke County Covered Bridge Festival.
Right, I
because that's
understand
their
that.
trademark. But they're
Okay.
not.
And I've used the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival and stuff for years, but that got posted and it just brought up some concern about it.
Okay. We just need to get that worked out, get that codified, and that's exactly what it comes down to, the trademark stuff.
So when can I talk to you guys about, like, getting on the vendor contact list and,
We meet the third Wednesday, which one?
At the depot,
At the depot.
what time?
5.
5 o'clock at the depot,
Third Wednesday.
third Wednesday.
and I've been there before and you just like, all we keep getting is we'll review it. And it's been
Well,
that's-
there's
like-
deeper
Guys, let's
conversation.
end this conversation, because we have to have our meeting. You guys work that out another time, another place. Okay, marketing.
I have a marketing agenda. Just a reminder that the marketing committee met and there were 3 of the 5 members there. And the only thing that the 3 of us, which were Courtney and Jen and myself, were there. And we opted only to do things that were very generic, that updated the website, a request that we felt were very reasonable about the right allocation of where you were at on lodging, or an event that was missing. We updated the website 3 weeks ago, correct?
Yes.
And so almost everything that's on this sheet we touched on during our hour-long meeting, and we had agreed, the 3 of us, because Diana and Celia, also on the marketing committee, were not there. We did not feel we should be acting on their behalf on some of the other issues that we did discuss that night. Correct, Jen?
Correct.
All right. So what I wanted to do is, first of all, is the new Covered Bridge map. We're calling it the black header. We're saying that because it's got the new. If you have the white ones, if you'll let Jen or any of the commission members know, we'll get those picked up, and I'm taking those out in ISFA when I'm out on the road, and I'm putting those in the state welcome areas. And so we only have the black header ones in Parke County, and I've been picking those up.
Do we have the black ones available now?
Yeah, they're at the depot.
Okay, so I need to go to the depot and
The
get.
depot has them, and we had 50,000 delivered,
Okay.
and we're having 20,000 being picked up here in the coming weeks by Tourist Information Services, and we're going to keep on top of those 30 that we still have here to make sure we don't run out like we did last year during the Covered Bridge
Okay,
Festival.
and then I currently have the white header ones. Do you want those?
I would like to, as marketing chair, to get the white header ones, so we get those out of Parke County,
Okay.
basically at rest stops and visitor areas, because
Can
they're
I-
still valid. I just want the most recent, up-to-date one in the county.
Can I bring them to you at the next meeting?
Yes.
Mine? Okay.
Or I can stop by and pick them up. Okay, so I also want to let everyone know that 20,000 of these will be going here in the next couple of weeks to Tourist Information Services. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next is the Discover Illinois. We sent out the electronic Here is a print version. I printed out the one. Courtney updated this again today. It says 9 festival communities. This is the 3-page. Again, this is not to size, but I'll pass this around. All the commission members got this. I need a motion to approve as updated and corrected unless there's any other changes. And this one, Tim, does have the lodging listing on the 2-page spread, but not on. Remember, it's a 2-page spread in one part of the magazine, which is in the back. It's the last page of the inside the back cover, and the other one will be just dropped in someplace at the editor's perusal. Yes, Celia.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
The next is that we did the state of Indiana map at the 12,000 on the back panel, and we added the 2 wineries for the 2024 version. We did that back in December and January. All the commission see it. I need a motion and a second to prove that.
I make a motion we approve that.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I have brought, here is last year's version. We can pass this around if you would like a copy. This is the newspaper for the Sentinel. Again, we'll be changing that to 9 festival communities. We are making a recommendation to the commission that all communities have a featured food as one of their couple pictures, and that we have the design similar to the 2024 Indiana Festival Guide as far as the layout, which is basically what this looks like right here. Again, this was last year's. Again, Belmore will be taken out, as we know, and where Belmore is, that will be an extension of more photos for Rockville. That's what the marketing committee, the 3 of us, were recommending, but we wanted to have this discussion with the entire commission. And we'll have to come back for approval later, but the big thing is that we had 2 communities that did not have food featured. One of those was Rosedale, and the other one was Billy Creek Village. And what we do know is every picture that was on here, without exception in the festival guide, which was also on the front page of the Sentinel, that was the #1 food in that specific community. So by us having that food photo, that was their #1 food that sold without exception when we had a food photo. And when I was at Rosedale at Christmas time, they asked why they didn't have a food photo. And I said, we could take out the Welcome to Rosedale photo and put a food photo in there. And then the same thing, we could do that if the village would like to provide us with a photo for food as well. But our recommendation is that shows that every place has food.
Does Rosedale have a current photo of?
They're discussing, their festival committee is discussing that along with the Rosedale Strawberry Festival. So we wouldn't pick that picture. We'd ask them to submit a picture as these communities did. So,
Oh, and then the brightness.
Yes.
We talked about that too,
Right.
the bridge and Bridgeton being a brighter red.
yes. So yes, the line will be brighter red, yes. And Courtney, last year, she submitted photos where they couldn't alter the color, and she's going to submit those photos where they can alter the color, because this is newspaper print, not the other kind of print, and that's why the newspaper print got darker on us. And she had those folders locked, so they could not change it at the printer. Okay? A motion and a second, and we'll have to come back for approval on this, but the concept that we're gonna do this.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I mean, do we need to approve this concept or wait until you get it done? We can do that.
Well, we didn't want to go down and develop this more to come without everybody having an input.
Okay. So there's a motion to approve the concept so that was set them free to continue with their planning. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
The next was a statewide newspaper partnership that we've done with the Sentinel. That was for the Cover Bridge Festival and for the Parke County Cover Bridge Christmas. We've done those. Again, we want to make sure that your intent is to do those again.
I make a motion we continue with it's Hoosier statewide press, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next is that we didn't have a meeting, but the Travel In Quarterly full-page ad that had the 50,000 circulation was submitted. We used a previous ad with updated pictures, and we circulated that, and we had no feedback not to do that except from Tim Thurman, and I'll let Tim talk about, as we go forward in future ads, the full-page ads, what he would like to see.
Well, where I'm coming from is, I think I sent a message about the attractions. I don't understand why we're listing attractions and not lodging, when lodging is what basically funds what we're doing here, so that would be my point to make on the ads.
Right, and the ad that the committee, at our meeting, the three of us, that we had sent out back in January, is when we sent that out and said, this is what we're gonna do for travel in. Respectfully to Tim, he sent that email to me after we'd already sent that to press. And that was an ad that was previously approved for travel in issues previously that did not have the lodging listing. Okay, so Tim basically is giving advice that he would like to see all of our future full-page ads have the lodging listing returned.
Well, we used to do the lodging on everything all the time, it was always required. Then when we got to where we were more online, I think the attitude was that we don't need to list them all, so long as we list where you can find them all, and when you go to that, then they're listed.
And I'm also good with that, as long as if we just say something like,
For lodging.
check out our local
Yes.
lodging,
Yeah.
check
Yes.
out hotel, or check
for
out
lodgings,
lodging
go to
deals.
coverbridges.com.
Something.
Absolutely,
Something
right, that's
visible and
completely, we
easy
can do
to-
that, I think, yeah.
Okay. I think we
Yeah.
did talk, because the lodging is getting so
It is.
large.
Right,
and-
especially
and-
with Airbnbs coming.
Yes.
So it makes
So I
sense.
think
But yeah,
that's the way to
great
do it,
point.
just put a notice on for lodging, here's a website, you can find them all, so that'll work.
And we'll see that in future ads. Obviously, we haven't met in 3 months, and that's what did this.
Well,
Okay.
will you let Courtney know
And we will-
so that she knows to start putting that on?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll let you do that since you're on committee.
I was trying
Okay,
I'll take that back.
Take that back.
Hand that back to me then. I tried.
It'll be in the minutes. She just has to read the minutes.
At the committee meeting, we discussed the 2025 Indiana Festival Guide, which we had already approved one additional membership in addition to what we had done historically for Walkville Main Street. That was the block party. And TJ, I thought, was going to be here. They're talking about having another event in 2025, and I said the commission would have to approve that. But at least the committee would begin working on what we'll do in May for the early bird, for
What
the
is it he
2025
wants?
Festival
What is it he
Guide.
wants? What is it we did, and what is it he'd like to have?
They're discussing having a new event in 25 they don't currently have.
Wanting us to do what?
Buy their membership in the festival guide, and also add that in the next time we go to reprint in
Okay.
the map.
The only reason I wanted that clarified was, if he's waiting to begin that process, we could give them that if we have a consensus that we're gonna support that again as we supported it before, we could tell them that we haven't voted, because we haven't seen what your proposal is yet, but we would certainly receive that favorably.
And that's kind of where the three of us were as well when we discussed this.
So, unless there's anyone disagreeing with that, we don't need to vote on that, we can just tell the marketing committee that I think that's gonna be a shoe-in. As far as I'm concerned, anyone have a disagreement with that, or I think they wouldn't be a shoe-in? Because they need to be set free so they can go ahead and get in that process.
Right. I did have feedback, respectfully, Celia, if you'll voice up here now, that each of our communities that are outside the greater area, that they would like to make sure that the artwork that's featured, specifically, we also had that at Tricky Run and at Bridgeton, when the artwork submitted for the festival guide, and then also for ISFA1, the promotional vehicle, they want to make sure that the artwork that they want for their festival is indeed what we're using on the festival bus and in the festival guide, correct?
Yes.
Correct, Tim?
Yes.
Because the Women's Wellness Retreat, we did not use their image that they used the festival guide on the festival bus, correct?
That's correct.
And the Bridgeton Rendezvous, we did not use their image they wanted on the festival bus, because that's respectfully what we sent out by email to everyone.
They said they couldn't use it, so. So they used the logo.
Right, they used the logo instead. Right. But hopefully this year, I'd like to get ahead of this in all the areas that we do, so we make sure that every logo that we're using in the festival guide in our marketing that will appear on ISFA1 is indeed what all of our individual festivals want.
And that's up to them to get those to us.
That's right. And I sent an email out earlier and CC'd the marketing committee to TJ specifically that we need his 2025 dates soon in May and his 2025 artwork soon in May.
I think better than soon, I think we need to set deadlines.
Hear that.
And so
He's here as representing Main Street as well, kind of. To
Yeah, I can
be
definitely
wearing
work
that
that.
hat.
Right, because
So you guys think about a deadline,
I just
rather than
want-
just saying soon in
Just
May or
making
soon in
sure.
April, we need to have a deadline, and if you don't have that in our hands, then we'll use what we used before.
Have the
June 15th. So that it gives you 2 weeks to get it downloaded and uploaded and for the 25
It can be
festival
any
guide.
date you want, is that enough time?
Yeah.
If we don't give them a deadline,
just need to
Kathy
know.
Harkwider learned years ago, you don't give them a deadline, then you're not gonna get it.
Yeah, that's fine. And TJ and I I've explained the whole process of the events to him, as I'm sure Doug has, as far as how they go in and renewal
Okay.
and things like
Well,
that.
June
So, yeah,
15th is a good date that I'd make the motion that we inform all the people needing to use the advertising that June 15th is the last day to send us the picture and the dates that they want to use.
Okay.
And this is for the FS.
The festive guide.
Okay,
Well, and also for the brochure here.
okay.
And for the artwork that Courtney will develop for ISFA 1 for 2025.
Everything we're going to use. If you have something
Yes.
you want us to use, it's got to be in
June
our hands by
15th
June 15th.
every year.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's not, we'll use what we have.
Works for me.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. A year ago, we talked about the expansion of our budget this year outside whatever we were going to do, that philosophically we were thinking about most of that being used for the expansion of social media. And we did discuss that. We would like for Courtney then at next month's meeting, after the annual meeting, depending on what input we get from our constituency at the annual meeting, that she would come with a proposal for the rest of the year in addition to what we've already committed to, if we keep having increases in our revenue stream.
I'd like to see, Dan, if you're available, to come to our annual meetings April 11th in here, and we'll be going through all those numbers. I think you should see the reach we have nowadays compared to how it used to be. I think you'd be shocked to find how many people, how many contacts we have.
Okay, so what that means is that we're not going to, in our print things, we're not going to be looking at an expansion of anything other than to the level that we've done before, correct? Jen?
Sorry, say it again.
We're not going to advocate increasing anything in print much above what we have historically done. So we're not looking at 2-page spreads and travel in above and beyond the issues that we did 2-page spreads and travel in before. We'll keep the 1 page, correct?
Yes.
And the same thing that, which was the Discover Illinois, we did the 3-page, that's what we did last year.
And I don't think we need to codify that. That's what we shall do. You're just saying, generally, we're not going to do that.
Generally, that's our
No,
recommendation
I'm fine with
that we
that.
go forward, okay? Next, the PCI had some requests, and NISA and the president's here, and the marketing committee took their decisions, and because we only had 3 of us, we felt that they needed to come for all of you and then have this discussion. Correct, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
The concern being is if the other people, like, if we're going to market that on the website, then what else you know what I mean? And with the only
Right.
being 3 of us there,
Right.
we certainly were not comfortable making that decision.
It is a tough call. We don't have the opportunity, we don't have the option of being arbitrary. We can't just pick and choose who the winners are going to be and who they're not going to be. Dan, I see that every day in stuff we do. Maybe something we, like Down the Bridge, I think it's a great program.
Yeah.
But we can't choose to advertise that without advertising anybody else want to do anything else. If Turkey Run wants to have something, we can't choose that. Or if some ham and bean maker in Rosedale wants to sell ham and beans this weekend, we'd have to advertise that as well.
So my question to that, and this is a conversation that we haven't had in a couple of years about website and things like that, is we're growing and putting more goals in front of us and events and things like that. If we're sitting here talking about domain, does the website belong to us or does it belong to the CVC? When we focus on it, we have all of the things in our county, but we also have a big emphasis on Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, which falls back to us. So from our perspective, we would like to see it be more inclusive to what we're doing at PCI for our position in the county.
The way I like to see that, if that's something we can be done, if on our website we could have PCI coming attractions or some such thing, where then they can click to a link to take to those coming attractions for you guys and have all those types of things listed.
So my original request, just for clarity, where we have the tabs at the top, I had thought, because Courtney and I have talked about this before, because it's kind of a long stretch of things. So just I'll say, looking at if we moved Covered Bridge Festival to events, that automatically shrinks this. And in common sense tells you if you're looking for something, events would drop down and show you the event calendar and also loop in Covered Bridge Festival because it is an event. So what I was asking for was to add to that section our 3 main events, which are Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, Parke County Maple Fair, and now Dine on a Covered Bridge, which is going to become a large part of what we do each year. I think the biggest question is, I've been met with questions before about the website and is this okay? Is that okay? Do you approve this? Does PCI approve of this? But then we come back and we have these conversations about, well, what can we actually put that on our website? Where's the ownership is the deepest question at this point. I don't want to junk it up with all kinds of things,
Sure.
but I would like to see an emphasis on the things that we are doing if that is our source. Does that make sense?
Just to clarify, are you talking about promoting the actual event or having the website set up so that they can buy tickets on it?
I would like, in theory, in this event tab, if they go to the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival, it would bring up our landing page for festival information. Same with Maple Fair, same with Dine on a Covered Bridge. The tickets for Dine on a Covered Bridge are the only thing, outside of bus tours, and I'm not even approaching that in this, are the only thing that we sell online currently. And that is through a different sourced website. And we actually have a domain that we want to sync to that, because right now it goes to dineonacoveredbridge.square.site.
I would be fine with, it's just me, I'd be fine with, under the events you had Dine on a bridge, and then they click on that and they go to a separate page and you do your business there, I'd be fine with that.
Right. I also need help with the syncing of those things, because we have a custom domain for this Square page that I haven't put yet, because I want to make sure that if we do link this up that we're doing it properly. So if it's in events and it goes down and you click on Dine on a Covered Bridge, it can go out to what will be Dine on a Bridge. We couldn't get Covered Bridge because of the event in Ohio.
Right.
So that I don't have a problem with that. It's just, where do we come to an agreement on what we can and can't do?
Well, what do you think?
In addition to that, I'll expand a little bit. The website edits and corrections, everyone's always instructed to send those to us, and then I pass that on. Oftentimes it's something small. It's a phone number, it's an email address, it's something that I could just go and do and skip the process of waiting. And this is nothing against Courtney. Courtney does great work. But if if it's something that I can just take care of and please the hotel, the restaurant, the business.
That's what the issue has always been. It's not always been you at that seat doing
Right,
those
and I
things.
understand that.
That's
yeah.
exactly what the problem has always been. Someone invariably would go too far, they would make editorial decisions on their own, they would
Right.
do stuff. So that's why I think it was always that it had to go to Courtney so she could do that with one mind.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not opposed with the situation the way it is now and with you doing it, but we have to look down the road, how do we control that thing, keep that happening
Right.
someplace else? So let's go back to the other issue first on that. I'm perfectly fine, again, it's just me, I'm just one vote, with under events, with Covered Bridge Festival, with Maple Fair, with Dine on the Bridge. Not advertising, not saying prices, nothing on there, but just a location that they can then link to go someplace else. I have no problem with that. Anybody else in that same boat?
Only PCI events though.
Only PCI events.
And that, I think that keeps us,
That's what we push, other than the ones we support.
I'm just saying, like, if we get outside questions, or if you get
Yes.
questions, hey, can we promote our event on yours?
Right.
That, you know what I mean? I think it's just that protect.
We have everybody's events, but
We do.
we're not providing a link.
Yeah, the
this is
event
what-
calendar is
Right.
completely separate game.
So
That's
it's just
fair for
PCI that we're going to allow the link to go to
Yes.
their separate
And
website.
do you want to call it PCI events? You want to call it Parke County events? PCI?
I don't know that
How do you
PCI,
wanna-
people don't know what PCI
We need to
is.
No, I
do-
don't think it should be.
I
we
mean,
need to be
other
able-
than.
Yeah.
But for us, we need to be able to delineate why they can do that and others can't do that. So do we want to list it as partner events or PCI events? How do you want to name that?
Well, before we get to that, I don't want to take off the Parke County Covered Bridge Festival when you, at the top where you
I-
click
No,
on it.
I
I agree
understand
with
that.
you on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It can certainly be both places.
I see
So-
what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I like as soon as you said it, I was like,
Right. Well, and that's just because we've had the conversation
Yeah.
about how long.
yeah,
this
no,
is.
I mean, it's
So-
putting ideas out there. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was my reaction
Yeah.
inside.
It can be both places. It can be listed on top and still be on that list of events. Then click on that and go to the page to find out all the information you need to get.
Yeah, it can be, yeah, it can be
Yeah,
both.
yeah.
It can be both,
Have the
absolutely.
same link. So I'm okay with that, so, yeah, I had the same feeling you did, we're not taking Covered Bridge Festival off there, but that's the biggie, so, yeah. But we can also include that on that list. Now, do you wanna call that Parke County event?
Let me go to the marketing committee again. Jen, bear with me here now, okay? Help me out here. Courtney was concerned at calling it Parke County Inc., spelled it out, or Parke County Events, or anything Parke County spelled out again, and our header was gonna take a lot of letters to get that to be spelled out.
To your
When,
point.
Yeah.
when we've tried to delineate, and the only one that's big is Covered Bridge Festival. Otherwise it's eats and,
Stay, events, bridges, eat
Yes.
and drink blog.
Eating and we combined eat and drinks, and we had a big discussion about that, and we did update that to include more eats and drinks on the eats and drinks page. And some of the eats and drinks we had decided were also attractions, because they really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing's clean cut.
Right.
So I like the idea of having an event place page. Question is, what do you call it, just events? And we know in our
We
heart,
already have events, right?
Yeah, and all I'm asking is to
add
add
it.
so we can leave it.
I think it could stay as just events, and then we
Yours
as a
come
whole
up
know
first.
that
So it has
it's
the link.
yeah. It could even
I'm
have
fine.
event calendar.
and I'm fine with that.
Events, event calendar, and then the specified things underneath it. But when we're doing these things, we get so many inquiries, and even Maple Fair, it would be nice to have a landing page where we can have information about Maple Fair that is specific with
To that
more
page.
detail.
To that page, that's what it is, what it
Yeah.
is,
So
yes, I
would
agree.
you be able to manage the landing page, but Courtney still, is that possible? Like I don't
Honestly,
know that
I
stuff.
don't know what the
Okay.
best.
So
I don't
convers-
have a landing page for Maple Fair right now, and I don't do anything with the Covered Bridge Festival.
But I think if we agree with the concept of having landing pages for those types of things, of Parke County sanctioned, CVC, PCI sanctioned events, I'm fine with that,
Only
having a separate
PCI.
landing page.
So-
So all the sales, all the ticket purchase, all the thing would be on the landing page, not on the main page.
Can we coordinate a marketing meeting so that the majority, if we're able, I know life happens, but the majority of our marketing meeting or committee is able to be there, and then you're able to be there, so that we can figure out the logistics of that, because those are the things that I
And
don't
I think that's the
know.
only thing, I think consensus wise, we're okay with the idea, it's just the logistics, how we're gonna do that.
I think it's a good idea to have it all at a consolidated location.
Yep, I
Make it
agree.
easier for people to
I
find.
agree.
I wanted, with Courtney and Jen there that night, I wanted to hear from the rest of you that were not part of the five, because the two of you couldn't be there. I just didn't feel comfortable,
None
guys. Fair.
of us did. Yeah. It
And
just-
that's why we have to
So we
decide.
wanted to hear more so from you that are not on the marketing committee, what you'd like to see, Tammy.
And it's no offense. I mean, it was
No.
just, it's a,
Yeah.
that's a big thing. But I think that
And there is the events calendar where everybody's listed anyway on that.
Right.
So we have some special ones, yeah, we do have special ones, those are bigger
Well,
things.
yeah, and I think I think if we do need to come to consensus about
We do.
what's gonna be allowed.
Yep,
And I think, it's CVC and PCI have a partnership,
Mhm.
so I think it needs to,
I actually have a request that I think is the perfect time to bring up. On the desktop version of coveredbridges.com, there's actually a community partners page. You can't get to it through the mobile version, but on the desktop version you can. And my request is to have Park Without Reverse added to that community partners page, which falls right into the same conversation. Not to
Where
interrupt
is
you,
that
but-
visible?
no, I don't think that has anything to do with tourism though, John, I don't think. No, I wouldn't want to put that on there. That's not a tourism event, so that's a government thing, I think. So I'd be opposed to that. Yeah, sir?
Just to clarify, so when you click on Maple Fair under events, you want it to immediately go to another page,
Yes.
not like the events page where it's got Strawberry Festival and it's got the dates and times listed.
That's up to you guys to decide or
Okay,
whatever.
I just-
But that's my idea, that if you're going to try to sell tickets or you have information
Maybe have
about
the basic info there and then. but the-
specific stuff on a different landing page.
Understood.
Yeah. Because really, if I'm navigating it, I don't want to go with all the other crap on that page. If I'm just looking for Maple Fair stuff, that's all I want. I want to go there and find out
Right,
about that.
exactly.
Yeah.
so we can coordinate a meeting with you. We'll try to do that sooner, so that because I know the Giant Die on the Bridge, you're wanting
Yeah,
to
so
get that.
ticket sales go on Friday. That's why I had sent the request when we
Right.
talked about it, and I was hoping we could get it situated before just to streamline things and make it
I think it's a good
easier.
event. I'm not sure it's a tourist event. I think it's mostly local people that come. Well, you get some others, but
So
Yeah.
we actually kept, and I can email it to you, we kept track of where everybody came from last year, and like 85% of our 200 at Bridgeton were from out of county.
Oh, I'm surprised. That's
Yeah.
good.
So,
Michigan,
yeah,
Florida.
we had Michigan,
I'm
Florida,
surprised
all
that
the
was
surrounding
local.
states.
That's good.
It was
Out of
cool,
state.
so.
Good.
And I know we're gonna sell these out very quickly.
Well, that's nice to know. 'Cause I'm surprised by that. I thought it'd just be
Yeah.
local people coming to do
Yeah,
that. So
it's,
good.
we tracked that purposely so
Nice.
that we could see.
And in Texas called today.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Texas.
Well, so are
Do you
you
have-
saying that when you go click on the events link,
Mhm.
that then from there, you're gonna go to another page and it will say PCI?
So my-
And then the PCI events will be on that specific page? Is that
My
what you're
vision would
saying?
be, it's basically a bulleted list from here. So events, when you hover over Cover Bridge Festival right now,
Mm-hmm.
it has the locations, vendor information, and something else, and it shows up in a hover type screen. So then you go down and select. So that would be the same vision that I would see is when you put your mouse on events, it automatically pulls this up. And it still says event calendar. It has the specific events.
You know what I would do?
underneath it.
I would have it under events, I would have a link that said PCI. And then you click on that link and then it takes you to another page where
I
it
think
goes
People
to.
don't know what PCI
Yeah.
Yeah,
might-
for
a lot of
simplicity
people
though,
don't
I
know
think
what
we're
it
making
is.
them
Okay.
click
We know-
extra.
yeah.
We understand that, but guests don't
Yeah.
Don't
understand how
understand.
our.
Yeah.
I would just be
I
looking for the event. I don't
Right.
think there's any-
Okay.
If they call and they want information on Maple
Yeah.
Fair, I can very easily say, if you go to coverbridges.com and go to
Right.
events, you'll find everything that you need to know.
Okay,
And vice
so
versa on anything
There
else.
would be a different landing page for each one of
Yes.
those
Yeah.
PCI
Of the
events.
PCI.
And that's what, as
events.
a
Okay.
searcher, that's what I would want. Instead of having to deal with all of them, I want the one specifically I was
Yeah.
looking at.
All right.
So we'll try to coordinate quickly something.
I have another
Coordinate.
question along those lines. I've thought about this sometime because we have our festival guy that does this. Do we have a link that if somebody just wants to click on June, what's happening in June to find out what things are listed in June?
Through the event calendar,
Is
it
it?
will pull up, and they're all in order, so you can either see the events listed individually, and they're all in order,
Does
or
it-
you can click the calendar.
Does it say someplace to do that? It says calendar, they can click on calendar and pick a month?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a visible
That's fine
calendar.
then. Okay,
There's
I've
also
never
a
seen that.
place-
Okay.
There's also a place to request your event be put on
Okay,
the calendar
good.
that syncs to.
Because we do that all the time. If we're gonna go someplace in May,
Yeah.
I don't wanna know what everybody does all year long. I want to know
Right.
what's happening in May.
Yep.
And go there. So, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Just, I'd say have a list of questions
Yeah.
at that meeting. We may not be able to get through all of them.
Right.
Priority would be the dine on a bridge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then we'll kind of start working everything else out. But if you can have everything, like you know what I mean, the questions and.
Yeah.
And email those to the
So-
5 of us
Yes.
in advance. So we
Yes,
can-
yeah.
Also in that respect, with the Dine on a Bridge, we had our meeting last week, got the final approval before ticket sales this week, and we knew they were gonna be the last week, but we didn't have the exact confirmed prices and things like that. So I had emailed Courtney asking if she could send out a newsletter. If I draft it, can you hit send to our subscribers? And she came back and said I needed to ask you about that as well. That's something that in the past I've sent to her. We did it last year for Dine on a Bridge too, and some other small things. I've just sent and she's just done it. So again, I feel like we're getting blurrier lines of
Yeah,
where
we are.
can
Okay,
and can't do
and
things.
again, the 3 of us did not feel comfortable telling Courtney it was okay to do that, even though we had done this for one time before, when we all thought the commission should all have.
So what's
input
your
on that.
attitude for it now? Are you okay with it?
Well, because she's charging for it, right? Is that what the question? Is she charging for that time?
The question that Courtney asked is that, is the CVC going to pay for the time that Courtney's spending, even if it's prepared by the time that Courtney's going to charge us? Should that be charged to us, or should, if somebody else came before us other than PCI, would we do that for them, and would there be a charge for that to cover her costs versus, or are we willing here, the CVC, to pay for that cost for that group?
So you're just asking for permission to send out emails to everybody with the listings?
I was asking her to do that because currently she
she does that.
But what would it take for you to do it rather than her to do it?
We are in the position where we can start doing more things like that.
See, I think the less we put on Courtney, the better off we are, and that's just sending out an
I mean,
email.
it's your
about
event. I
existing
mean, it's your
event.
events, right? It's
Right.
specific to your
Yeah.
events, to
Yes.
PCI.
But we have,
It's using the email
using
feeds.
the
Oh.
CVC's email list. I'm
Right.
okay with
But,
that.
yeah,
If they want
I
to do
mean,
that,
That
Courtney.
goes through our website and is actually sent out from info@coveredbridges.com when it goes.
Again, I think we need to figure out how we're gonna word that agreement, to include that on the agreement that we do, because I refuse to say anything good about you anymore, but, but I feel confident that you're gonna do it the right way.
Yeah.
We have not had that experience in the past, and we don't know
Right.
what we'll have in the future.
And as we grow, I really do want to see us taking on more of these things that we can be responsible for.
And I would
because
be
there's
all
no
for that.
reason. We're in a really good position now. I only have Jeremy short term because he's getting ready to open his restaurant in May. But he's been a really
But I'm
big
sticking
asset.
around afterwards.
Yeah. He's been a big asset in conversation and
Why don't you figure out how that would work?
okay.
Bring that to the marketing
And
committee.
there's no one here, the non-marketing committee members, there's none of you that are objectionable.
No,
If
we're not.
the 5 of us agree that we'll find one of you to vote yes on that.
Yeah,
And please don't take this as me thinking that Courtney doesn't do a wonderful job.
She does.
Because she does. But also in that respect, as we grow, we can do this in our.
even now, we're putting more on her all the time.
I think there just has to be a safeguard. I feel like there has to be a
There
safeguard that
does.
because I mean Kathy Harkrider was phenomenal.
Mhm.
I'm not wishing
No,
anything
no.
ill on you at all. Don't.
Well,
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
that-
but I'm
I
saying,
think
you know.
what Jim said, the historical.
I think the
what
safe-
happened? What happened?
I think the
dictated that
safeguard
it's
is,
a
If
different-
there's a life event,
It's a
then
different-
what's our safeguard?
I think the safeguard is if you screw it up, take advantage of it, we're done. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
And that's where Courtney was, that for all of us to approve that on a
Yeah.
general case-by-case basis, on a month-to-month basis.
Because at some point, sometime, somebody in the future may take advantage of that and do something they were
Right.
not even close to being
Right.
allowed to do. And at that point, we just, that's it. So
Yeah.
we're done.
And getting back to the ownership of the domain, that's PCI. That invoice is made out to Parke County Incorporated. And I believe in the last conversations we had previously about that, we said that belonged to Parke County Incorporated, but the CVC paid for it.
And we agreed a long time. So maybe for
Yeah.
your auditor, we may need to have a contract between PCI and CVC that we will reimburse you for that cost. It may even be that you need to write a check for it and we reimburse you for it rather than paying it directly. You might ask the auditor about that, how
Okay.
that be cleanest. It's not very often that one entity can pay an expense of another without just being a simple reimbursement.
True.
Right.
GoDaddy's
Okay.
laughing at both of you.
Okay.
Arguing about who owns it.
Yeah.
Any other requests from PCI?
I have a couple small things, but it can be discussed in the marketing because it.
We're
ties
still
in
there.
with that.
Go ahead.
But the bigger topic is what you had next on your agenda that I wanted
Okay,
to talk to.
the next was, this goes back to a discussion that I had with the president of town board of the town of Rockville. And gentlemen, Celia, help me out. It's been more than 15 years ago that the commission had set aside $6,000 to electrify and put a heating system between the 2 walls of the depot restroom. So that
Not just set aside, it was going to be done. And
Right.
it never was done.
It was never done because respectfully, the town
Absolutely.
or PCI or a third party like Main Street, none of them would commit to paying for the electricity between the walls.
Right.
So what I would like to be able to say to the town board, and Nisa's been involved with this secondarily, but not with me and the president of the town board, is that we would still stand behind that $6,000 resolution that's more than 15 years old that it was a unanimous agreement, but no one would agree to pay the utility bill, so we never installed it. So the bathrooms at the depot would be open year round, especially now with the electrification that the town's put in. And it's the town property now with a 100-year lease for PCI.
So
And I've gone to them asking and inquiring about the bathrooms. We ran into a situation last year during festival that the month before, I
Yes,
believe,
the month
they
before
instructed
festival.
us that they were not going to staff the bathrooms during the festival on the weekends.
On the weekends.
To which we went back and forth in conversation, and it ended up falling on us to provide that service.
Yep.
This year, they've told us they are not going to do anything with the bathrooms the entire festival.
And I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not surprised. We've had discussion about us paying for the product.
County
the
basically does the
exchange.
same thing. We pay for the hours we're there, but the hours are not there, you pay for.
Right. So there's been discussion, but the other side of that is that they closed the bathrooms immediately basically the day the festival ended, and they will open, I'm being told, on April 1st.
You just need to figure out what you want, how you want them to be, and take that to the board and see.
Yeah, I would like to see them heated so that they can be open year round.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that, because visitors are stopping daily. Even if they don't come in for information, they're still stopping because it's a visitor center and they expect that they can find a facility. Their only other option in town that's in theory a public building is the courthouse during public business hours.
Yep, that's all it can be. All insurance will
So-
allow.
So I move that we reestablish that we're committed to up to $6,000 on an electric heating system in the PCI bathrooms or the town of Rockville bathrooms.
No. It's the town of Rockville.
Right,
It's the park
Right.
restroom. It's
Yeah.
not the depot restroom in our depot.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
separate
okay.
outbuilding.
And because it's actually separate from our
Okay.
lease, so.
The depot, the bathrooms at the depot park.
So we
Sorry
need to
about
be
that.
telling the board that we're gonna pay that $6,000,
Yeah.
not PCI.
Right, but I'm here.
So if you're gonna go that,
So
have
the
that
park
request,
board-
just carry the
The board-
message from
Then
us,
we'll have
that
to
we
deal with the
still
town board.
are willing to pay $6,000 toward installing. See, you don't, I remember having this conversation years ago, they weren't gonna pay to heat those things all year long when nobody was there, which I understand. But there are a lot of radiant heaters that you can put over specific things that will come on when you have motion detectors. Doesn't heat the whole area, but that heats enough if you're standing there that it's not a freezing place.
Right.
You keep minimum temperature so it doesn't freeze, but that's all it has to be. But I know a couple of the board members, one, he's dead now, but one particularly was concerned of, why God, we're not gonna pay to heat those all year long, nobody's there all winter long. Well, nobody's asking you to, other than keep them from freezing, which they should keep them from freezing anyway. Even if you're not freezing water, you're hurting the pieces.
Yeah.
And, but those radiant heaters come on and you're warm there. And the minute you
Right.
leave, it goes off and you're done again.
Right. You know, with all the advertising that we do year round, people are coming year round. And I don't think they understand that capacity at this point in time.
It's just too bad that the town, my hope was that when the town leaves the town offices, that they can make public restrooms out of that building. There's no outside backdoor access, easily lockable, you're right uptown on the square. I don't know of any other major tourism town that we go to that doesn't have public restrooms someplace to go to.
Right.
I'm not letting anyone else.
And the courthouse just cannot be.
It's a shame because it's really a deterrent when
It
people
is.
come to town.
I make a motion, we pay the $6,000 as previously.
Don't need it, we've already
decided.
agreed, it's already existing, it's never
Okay.
gone away.
No one objecting to that though.
No.
Okay, next, I want to go on to social media with Courtney Cook. Basically, the discussion of our post images and messaging in general. I've had a couple questions and comments about our social media. I'm not questioning the quality, but I'm questioning sometimes the content. During Maple Fair specifically, I had multiple people that were very, very disappointed that our contract that we did not direct Courtney, that we specifically had a post the week before Maple Fair of the Maple Fair campaign that it said go out to the ranch, and it wasn't about selling pancakes at the fairgrounds for that weekend. And so, my discussion with Courtney is that the marketing committee needs to give her a stronger direction of what we expect in that. But just in general, we have not micromanaged that. On the same topic with different constituency groups about the Maple Fair post, we had all these Maple Fair and come to Turkey Run specifically in the winter, and all these great trail pictures and all these winter sign pictures in those posts, and there was not a picture of the Turkey Run Inn inside the Turkey Run State Park, which is where they're not at Sunday through Thursday having the 2-for-1 special, and they've got lots of capacity for overnight stays. And
To me, those are exactly the things the marketing committee should make. You should make a timeline of what you want, when, and she will be instructed to do that. That will be our contract with her, and she will meet those requirements.
Okay, as marketing chair though, I want to make sure that the commission members that are not on the marketing, that if we meet and we direct, like on social media posts, that on every other social media post of the 5 featured photos that we've done with our design, which the commission has approved, one of those on every other post has to be one of our lodging facilities.
Like everything else, you make a proposal, bring it to the commission, we'll approve it.
All right.
I would say that's a good recommendation outside looking in, because we do a beautiful job of promoting our recreation and our shopping and our food, but we very much lack in promoting the lodging, which, like Tim said earlier, that's the foundation of what this is. So.
Okay, so I'm bringing this as a marketing chair, reporting to you.
You guys do that, bring a proposal, we'll bring it up. I think having specific time marks, milestones of at this date you do this, you put this kind of thing up, that'd be perfect. And then take the pressure off her, have them decide what to do.
Okay.
Then she'll have a schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she does create
Yes.
a schedule for herself. She does
Oh, yeah.
presents
That's a
that,
lot.
but I think we need to look more at that
Yes,
and be more
I
active
agree.
and involved in
Right.
that. And I will say, there was a comment in the meeting where people were saying that she only did one post. That is completely false on the Maple Fair. There were 7 on Instagram alone, Facebook. I mean, you cannot beat a dead horse.
Well, I'll be honest.
That's not
frustration-
I'm just saying.
My frustration was that I was looking at the dates, and the two days, maybe 3 before Maple Fair, I had looked back, and the last Maple Fair information was on March 9th on our social media on Facebook. And so that was really frustrating to me, because we were the week of at the starting date, and there's been a lapse in that. That was my frustration with that.
Okay.
So,
I don't know who I'm not saying, like, it was just that there wasn't enough, and there certainly there was a lot. Now, timing of it, that could be that I did not go into depth on that, but
but that could be solved with what you're saying.
Yeah,
And
yes.
also take the pressure off of her. She's got a lot on her plate. If all she has to do is, here's March 10th, here's what I need to do.
Yeah, and we all trust, not only our marketing committee, but the whole commission, I believe, I would say this, that the whole commission trusts her in her expertise on how,
Absolutely.
like, when are you overdoing it? And I certainly trust her in that, because she knows that.
And it'll be easier for her if she has specific schedule to put out specific things.
Right.
She doesn't have to decide what the heck am I gonna put out today. This is what it's gonna be today.
Okay. Can I go on?
In
Well, at
fact,
least
even with that, she
include
could do
this,
those ahead of
include this
time,
in
even
that
have those ready to go. So, yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
we in this past year, in 2023, we paid for 15 memberships in the Indiana Foodways Alliance, which right now we've only used 13, okay? I'm expecting that the Terre Haute's going to be here at our meeting, for our annual meeting and be in presence, and Terre Haute is going to be coming at some point, either in April or May, to a commission meeting to talk about us doing some partnerships with them, like we're doing with Putnam County, okay?
Who is coming on their behalf?
Karen Dwyer, she's the new person.
Yep, she is the
Yes.
better than, yep.
Okay, so what Karen and I had talked about with Courtney, respectfully, is that we would consider using half of one of our memberships in the Indiana Foodways Alliance for our food establishment in Parke County, if they would pay for the other half that's in Vigo County. Because we don't pay for the Brother Bear Coffee Shop.
Little Bear.
Little Bear, we don't pay for them, but would we consider taking a half of one of our memberships, and we would pay half of their memberships if Terre Haute would pay for the other half, and it would say Rosedale/Terre Haute?
Yeah, since they're both places, I think that's reasonable. It
Okay.
should be fine with that.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we still have one more membership in the Foodways Alliance we can use.
Okay.
I want to remind everything of that. The next thing is that the travel guide just came out 2 weeks ago, and we're on the back cover. Oops. All right, and specifically what I want to see, this is the 2024 version, our ads on the back cover. As we go forward, I make a motion that for everything where we list the Parke County Cover Bridge Festival, we put 2 years of dates in all ads. Because see, this is not coming out till about end of March, early April. So I think the state still uses this in November, December, January, February, and March of next year. We should have as we move forward, that we'll have 2 years of dates in all the ads we do in general.
Yeah, and imagine while you're looking at this weekend, I think Tim is out there, right, he had something that said, for lodging, click or go, whatever, and then you would have to take care of that.
Right.
Most people don't know, I mean, this is an impressive ad, this is an impressive accomplishment, this is just a dandy thing we have here.
I also want to point out that the man on the front is created by the Bear Hollow woodcarvers that actually do the festival in Rockville.
Yes.
And they've been in Rockville for
Yeah.
20+ years, yeah.
Really?
And if you see
So
there,
it
they've
was
got-
kind of like hitting the cover in the back too.
To your point, like you mentioned, they've got the Sasquatch sculpture at French Lick Cabins at Patoka Lake. So right there, they're throwing in their lodging advertising too that they have, so it's pretty cool.
Okay, the next is that we just got here the last week, the Indiana DNR Recreation Guide, which again, is all about the state parks. Again, we're on the back cover. Again, as we move forward for next year, because we'll be doing that this year, we would put 2 years of festival dates in there, and again, for more information and lodging.
You have one? I hear you with that.
Okay, good. Also, as marketing chair, I got a copy of the Visit Noble County Visitors Bureau for their annual meeting. I will have that available at the marketing committee for everybody to look at if you'd like to take a look at this. It's very similar to what we do, only a little different from what we'll have at the annual meeting. And Courtney had sent out the draft of that for us to use. Okay?
And I'll bring those little cards, those postcards that Cindy had printed and have them sitting at the tables at our annual meeting. Yeah, I still have those.
I do have one small thing, if I could ask. In respect to the festival guide, I had mentioned to you about the possibility of presenting to get Dine on the Bridge as an addition. Do I need to ask for that tonight, or should I ask for that?
That would be a new event. That would be, the marketing committee is going to sit and have that on our agenda per today's meeting. So, yes.
Okay, so put Dine on a Bridge.
That my request would be to add that as an event in the festival guide, but
Yes.
we would probably need 2 ads because we'll have at least 2 dates.
Okay, but you'll know
Yes,
the dates and
yes, I'll
okay.
have that together.
And then we will need, ideally, I think the commission, like we do for most of the other events that we pay for, they have to have their 26 dates too.
Okay.
So those are free as part of your membership. Okay? Any other, Nisa, anything else on that?
No, that was my
Anything?
last thing.
So I wanted to just show the 2 major ads that come out, and the map's supposed to be out here late May, early June, which is like when the state map comes out. We did get the 2 wineries included, so what they did, and we did get the apology letter, and they held up going to print for a month because I wouldn't approve the ad because we said we wouldn't do that without the apology
I have that
letter.
letter copy. I will print that off and take it down to the mill myself. So
Okay.
that's to the winery myself.
Yes, thank you.
I want to, at not this past one, but the one prior, the Main Street meeting. I'm super excited about the leadership and with TJ and Nisa as VP. And I want to say a thank you to you. She really stepped up and in the meeting and gave us praises, gave the CVC praises and explained to Main Street what we do and was very positive. And honestly, it was the first time in a public setting that it was just someone was thanking us and telling us the good things.
Yeah.
And it was very nice. And so I just wanted to say publicly and let you guys know and thank you for that. And the other some of the Main Street did not know what CVC did. And then you did I was at
2 months
the next
ago.
meeting, yes.
2
but
months
then
ago, I
you
did a
presented.
presentation, and other than Greg eating me alive publicly again on all of your behalfs, okay, respectfully,
I understand.
he just ate me alive that night again.
For the for the first time in my, however many years it is, I have an optimistic hope of a relationship with Main Street. It's
Yes.
never hopeful before, and I think it is now.
Yeah,
We are
I would
very
agree.
much.
Is it new
It's
leadership?
been really
Yes,
encouraging to
president.
see all the
Oh,
groups.
He came to Festivals Association annual meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
So
there
I
for a
just
day and
wanted
a
to
half.
say, because it was nice. This was really
Okay,
nice.
anything else?
To go on that, as an example, TJ, the president of Main Street, came to the Indiana State Festival Association convention for a day and a half and went through all the education programs. And I just told him, had he come to the commission and asked that we would pay for the lodging and the meals like we would do for PCI, and we have done in the past. But we can't do that after you go and then come back for reimbursement.
Well, now he knows. For
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Jill
and
is
I was
right.
the one that extended the invitation to him and said, go sign up,
Yeah.
and he's currently living in Carmel, so it wasn't
Yeah,
a stretch for
I
him
don't
to
want
get
to
there.
stay, yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Done marketing. Sorry.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I have a couple things.
You're not a commission member. What do you got?
I'm not.
What do you got?
First of all, I want to respectfully correct you on Park Without Reverse. We don't
Okay.
just film government meetings.
Okay.
We're a membership-based civic engagement organization.
Good.
Our mission is to foster civic engagement
Okay.
between Parke County's residents and visitors and our institutions of government, business, philanthropy, and education.
Okay.
So a perfect example of that, I know you've seen this before, most of you probably have in the IGA or the gas stations. This is our 2004, this is the first one we've done, our 2004 Civic Engagement Calendar. The top half of it is when the town councils meet, when the county council meets, when the county commissioners meet. The bottom half of it is promoting tourism. It's the Parke County 4-H Fair, it's the Covered Bridge Festival, it's the Main Street events, it's Billy Creek Civil War Days, it's Bridgestone Rendezvous, it's Mushroom Festival.
Good stuff.
So,
Thank you.
I wanted to ask under the CVC's 50% reimbursement program to be reimbursed for 50% of our expense. I don't know if this qualifies for that or not, but
It qualifies if you come in advance of it
Gotta
being
be in
printed.
advance, yeah. You gotta come and bring a proposal to us,
Okay.
and then we'll approve the
Okay.
proposal. So next thing you do,
Okay.
bring it ahead of time.
Okay.
Yes.
We all.
well, it's
and-
something we were gonna do regardless.
And
So.
there's nothing we haven't, I don't think we've ever turned anybody down
Right.
who came in, so next time you get an idea for some kind of promotional thing, bring it to us.
Okay.
We'll share
Well,
that.
We did Main Street on their Parke County Guide ad one year.
I don't remember. I'll probably that might have been, but okay.
Only time we ever denied a grant.
Okay. One was where they were doing it two different ways. So,
Yes.
but yes, they were trying to get paid two different ways.
Yeah,
And we
they
said, no,
were.
we're not doing that, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing else I had was
You do good, John. You do good stuff.
I appreciate that. A little bit of TML info. I actually made this for February's meeting, so the numbers are out of date. But I got permission from the Parke County Auditor to not only send letters to last year's Covered Bridge Festival vendors for TML applications and the vendor letter and the credit card authorization form, but we actually went back to 2002 and 2001 as well. So in all, we sent, first we sent an email to everyone we had an email address for to try to save on the postage. We didn't get a lot of email replies, but we did send letters to 1,646 vendors from the past 3 years.
Great.
With no duplicates, obviously, at a cost of postage and supplies, $1,300 and some odd dollars.
And who paid for that? The auditor's office?
The auditor's office,
Okay.
yes.
You have to budget for that stuff. That's good.
Yep.
Okay. You did good.
Very good.
John's getting some clarity to the TML, and we have made some changes in TML. Just like I explained real quick before we go, the handmade exemption has always been the toughest one for us to approve. It's always come down to the auditor to approve whether it was substantially handmade, it was totally handmade. The statute is very clear that it has to be either homegrown or home manufactured. Manufacturing meaning making all the parts to put the symbol together. Homemade is not just assembling pre-bought parts from someplace else or filling jars or something that was made by somebody else. That's not handmade. The purpose of the handmade, back in '82 when it was first approved, the purpose of the handmade was to create an opportunity for little farm people, little old ladies to have a marketplace to sell whatever they may make in their homes to make a few extra bucks. It was never intended for vendors like me who make thousands of dollars worth of material and sell it, even though everything I make is absolutely handmade. Maple syrup cannot be more handmade. It's made from a liquid made on my farm from my trees. I've harvested it. I've manufactured it. Nothing could be more handmade than maple syrup. But I buy my handmade, my TML permit. So we are in the process of, we still give handmade exemptions, but you have to have met requirements. The requirements are, you have to have less than $1,500 of annual retail sales to be eligible. And then if you meet that $1,500 of eligibility, less than $1,500, then you still have to meet the handmade parts where you actually made it yourself or grew it yourself. So I expect we'll have very few handmade exemptions anymore. Most of you aren't old enough to remember, but there were times when we had little old ladies in there making jellies and jams and crocheting things, and even our auditor now makes maybe $1,200 worth of cards that she does herself, and they're marvelous things. But she shouldn't. We don't feel, and the statute says we don't think we should be taking $100 or whatever we're going to get from those people who are making barely $1,000 worth of stuff to begin with. So we set that level at $1,500. I have only had one person that was really upset about the fact, And he came to our meeting I'm only sharing this for this reason. Nice enough guy. He's from Mansfield. He had bought a business, had been in business for 40 years. He's doing the same thing. He'd always had a handmade exemption. He carves names, uses a machine to carve names on blanks of wood, people's name for their family or whatever. And we said we were not going to grant that. And then it came down to, well, he had never had to pay for one before, and turned out that it was on his place. And I stopped him in our meeting and said, "You mean you're selling out of your property?" "Yeah, that's where he lives right there." "Well, then you don't have to have one anyway, because transit merchant license is only for someone doing business at a location other than where their retail merchant certificate is registered." And he didn't know that. He said last year he had to pay, and I said, "Well, because the auditors people made him pay." And I said, "Well, that was wrong. He shouldn't have. They were just wrong." And the auditors said they were new, and we apologize for that. But that's where we are with handmade. We're not opposed to handmade. We're just clarifying it back to what it was intended for. And if you're making a few $1,000 of stuff, then you don't qualify for the handmade exemption. The reason being, you can pay $10 a day to have this festival and these thousands of people coming by your place. So it's only $100. I'm not worried about you. So that's, I just wanted you to clarify that so you know where we are. We're not out to get anybody or hurting anybody. It's just if you make over $1,500 worth of stuff a year to sell, you need to pay to help participate, pay for this festival.
And that's a good point. Oh, here, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Only because someone will ask, what about the veterans?
Veterans always there. That's part of statute. The veterans is probably the most abused. John may not have had that experience yet, but we get veterans requests coming in where they have their discharge numbers, but that old guy is never there, has nothing to do with the business, but it's somebody's third cousin's uncle who knew that he was a veteran. Can he get his veteran certificate free? And we never question that. If they bring in their discharge numbers, they get the veterans exemption. Yep.
John, on the letter that you sent, I got one because a couple years ago I needed my TML. Now I've got my brick and mortar, so I don't. And I know that. But to his point, to Jim's point, some people might not realize that. And so when I got it, I thought it might be nice if there was something attached to that stating the kind of explaining what a TML is. It seems very general. I mean, like it's acknowledged to most people, but it really isn't. And so it might be something that if you just had like a little, explanation, if you are a brick and mortar, you own something like that, then this does not pertain to you. You're getting this because maybe in the past you've been a vendor.
Well, in every other county in Indiana, if you have that retail merchant's license, you can transient and you don't need a TNL. It's only in Parke County. So
yeah, I'm just saying when I got it, my thought was some people might be confused on this.
Okay. Anybody else have any other business for us?
It's just a suggestion.
No. Well, and he brings those to us before they go out because commissioners have to approve those things. So we need to see what those are going to be. You're speaking for us. But we don't want to abuse anybody, but the statute's very clear that it has to be either grown by the person or manufactured by the person. Assembly is not manufacturing, so there's a whole different world between assembling something and manufacturing something. That's why we have never allowed jewelry to be exempted, because, and we probably have those jewelers who actually extrude their own stuff and they go out and hunt and clean, do their own gems and things on it. That may occur. We've never seen that. But typically you're just buying parts and putting them together, and that's not handmade. Hand assembled, but not handmade.
Yeah, that's not the part. It was just because now I'm a brick and mortar, so I don't.
Everybody should understand that if your retail merchant certificate is the location, and I think it does say that, if your retail merchant certificate is the location from which you are selling, you are not required to have a transient merchant license.
Then it might not be necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I did, if we're almost done, I did bring the festival bus today, so those of you who have not seen it can see your logos on the side. Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We're adjourned. Long meeting, hour and a half.
We got
Sorry.
elected officers.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm going to call us back in session. We have not elected officers. We have to get that done.
I rescind my motion. How's that?
So we're back in session. So we need a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Is there a motion? Or nominations are open? Anyone wanting a job?
Yeah.
Then is there a motion to accept the slate as it exists?
I move.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, done. That was